name is Nani Matikela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So let's talk about something that is happening inside the Senzo Meyiwa trial. And many people that are watching the courtroom are beginning to notice it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it, okay? Because what we are seeing right now is not just a simple cross-examination from Ubalo. In fact, this is not cross-examination. I don't know what he's doing. To be quite honest with you, I don't know what Balo is doing, okay? Because this is not cross-examination. He has not even cross-examined. He is just forcing Ntanzi to agree on things that Ntanzi refuses to agree on. It is a battlefield over credibility, evidence, and control of the narrative. That is exactly how I can put it, what he is doing. Yeah, Eva. It is a battle over credibility, evidence, and control of the narrative. That's what he is trying to do there. And he is failing dismally, if you ask me. Okay? And one thing that you must not forget is that the man standing at the center of it all, at the center of the storm, is no other than Bongani Sanderson Ntanzi, accused number 2. Now, for years now, the state has tried to build its case piece by piece, confessions, phone records, timelines, but inside the courtroom, one thing can change everything. That is a fact. And with a witness who refuse to collapse under pressure. Yes, there is pressure. Ubalo is trying to put pressure on Ubongani Ntanzi. Guess what is happening instead? Baloyi is under pressure from the witness. Baloyi is under pressure from the witness. Baloyi Sibanda is up and down, up and up, busy doing printing and whatnot, highlighting things with our highlighters are pinking and bottom line is that they are the ones that are under pressure, including the judge. He is so much in the up and pressure in Akala. They are under pressure. I'm like it. Oh, the person that is supposed to be under pressure here is the witness, which is Bongani Ntanzi. But no, who is under pressure? The prosecution. Isn't that funny? Isn't that weird? And so many people that are observing believe that believe that is exactly what is happening right now. Pressure from Bongani Ntanzi to the prosecution. Ntanzi is refusing ukuthi ngeke yadlala soze nothi ndiyala. Remember this, I said it in the previous videos. Ntanzi is not a lawyer, guys. He is not a digital forensic expert. Ntanzi, I don't know whether uphele kubane esikolweni mhlambe high school. I think ufikile high school, but I'm not quite sure. I don't know whether ufikile na ku grade 12 wakhe or not. I'm not sure. But akayange tertiary. Kodwa one thing that I can tell you is that uyabanyisa. I'm sorry. Uyabanyisa. Sorry for the language, but uyabanyisa. Uyabanyisa, guys. Uyabanyisa. So when the state tried to confront him with cell phone photos, something unexpected happened. Instead of panicking, instead of retreating, he pushed back. And this is something that he does regular. He is a pushback. He is always like, woka. And his pushbacks has now opened one of the most uncomfortable questions in this entire trial. Are these photos reliable evidence or something else entirely? What's going on here? What is it about these photos? Because when those photos appeared in court, Ntanzi immediately raised serious issues there. The dates attached to the images did not make sense for him. According to him, the photos were taken months earlier than the arrest. Yes, they were taken in 2020, but not the time, not in September. Early, it could be March, others could be May, June, whatever. But it was early 2020 before he was arrested. That's what he was trying to tell us. So these pictures could be taken between March and the 8th of June and the 16th of June, I mean, between there. So, Untanzi, oh, Jehovah. According to Untanzi, these people are not going to just come for him like that. He is going to show them. Yena, he knows his story. That's what he is doing. Now, this arrest happened on the 16th of June 2020. So according to Danzi, photos were taken prior to that, before this event of arrest happened. And now, what is shocking is that Undanzi, what he notices that the metadata attached to them suddenly suggests a completely different timeline. He's questioning that. And that is where the courtroom tension exploded once again. Because in modern criminal trials, digital evidence can be very powerful, of course, but it can be very dangerous. Why? Because digital files carry something behind every image. It can show when the picture was taken, what device was used, the exact timestamp, the location. But here's the critical point. Metadata can also change when files are copied, edited, or exported. And Untanzi is right when he says, Ndlovu told us this. Ndlovu even said he is capable of doing the things. Let me play that for you, because at this point I'm scared of putting in izinto zabo SABC inside phakathi. I'm scared. Let me go and check for you something that Umshololo Ndlovu spoke about. I'm looking for it quickly for you so that you understand, because tell me why. Tell me why Untanzi is so sure of himself. And tell me why Untanzi is right by all means of being right. I'm going to show this to you right here, right now. Where is this? This is not the one. Let me show you this. One thing that Untanzi is doing there, is sweat. Yo, he is so sweaty. He is always busy. I'm looking for this. Someone sent it to me. Where is it? Okay, there. Let me play it for you.
XY.
Let me start.
When you are using your XY X-ray thing, when you are retrieving the information, you are able to detect even the pictures that were deleted. Is that correct?
Ushiloke nokuthi uma ngabe usebenzisa yona ke masothi XRY noma ke X-ray ukuthi uma usebenzisa yona ke uyakwazi ke nokuthi ke uthole ke izithombe lezi ebese icishiwe. That's correct.
No. So actually, scientifically, that can be true. Something which is deleted, and I'm using it as an adjectival noun as used by the advocate. She says you are able to retrieve the pictures that were deleted. You understand the statement?
Uthi ke advocate mekhuluma ke ukuthi ke uyakwazi ukuthi uyisele uthole futhi ke izithombe ezidilithiwe.
Ngiyasizwa istatement sakhe njengoba izolo ngichazile masikhuluma ngezithombe njengalesithombe esidilithiwe la. It's just a dumb print. Isithombe it was there. That's already deleted. There's no information on that photo. That's it.
Yingoba ngishilo ke ngayizolo ke ukuthi ke iyatshengisa isithombe sasikhona ke lapha.
Yeah, but textually it shows a copy at the least of what was deleted. Not the original. Yeah, I want to be precise in my thinking.
So in this case, go somewhere else.
I am not fighting with you. Please don't be emotional. I'm not fighting with you.
That was directed to the judge.
The evidence, what we have said. That's why I said, correct me if I am wrong.
So uma kuwukuthi-ke ngenza iphutha-ke ube uyalungisa-ke manje angilungisa nabantu nawe ukuthi nje ngifuna nje ukuthi-ke ngicacele. I am also responding to a question that I'm being asked.
Okay. So let's reduce emotions. I understood you to say even the deleted pictures through your machine, you are able to retrieve. You have now clarified the manner in which you are able to retrieve that you can only be able to retrieve a copy of that picture.
Bekuyindlela mina bengikuzwe ngayo-ke ukuthi-ke uma-ke isithombe sesishiweke noma sidilithiweke nakho-ke ukuthi usibuyisele kodwa manje
when you are using your...
Do you hear that, guys? Do you hear that? Okay, ukhona omnye, ukhona enye, let's see. Ukhona enye. Because tell me why these people think that we are stupid. That's here.
I'm going to ask it because you have just been a police officer over the period of 20 years. In your experience as a police officer, do you know that the pictures are capable of being edited? I'm not sure whether I'm using the correct word, of being edited, of being edited, the picture. I'm talking about your skills, in general. That are you aware that pictures are being edited? Yes, I do acknowledge that. Yes, it is so, and I am also able to edit pictures through editing for my.
So why my lord is fighting Undanzi when he says something is wrong with those pictures? When Undlovu told us, and Undanzi keeps referring to Undlovu. Oh, I love this case is live because now we can go back to digital Tonton and be showing off it actually was said. So now this is why serious forensic investigation rely on something called the dump file. The dump file is the original extraction of the data from evidence. Oh, sorry, from the device. It preserves everything exactly as it existed on the phone. Nothing edited, nothing filtered, nothing rearranged, nothing, just raw data. That's it. And that is the key issue now facing the courtroom, because if investigators present only edited versions of files, what experts call flat files, then the defense cannot independently verify whether the metadata is truly original. Without the dump file, the defense cannot compare the evidence to the original source, and that creates a problem, a very serious problem, because in criminal law, evidence must not only exist, it must also be authentic and reliable. If the original data extraction is missing, the defense can argue that the evidence cannot be properly verified, which means the courtroom is now facing a fundamental question. What exactly are these photos proving? Because even if the state argues that Ndanzi had access to a phone while in custody, that alone does not prove involvement in the Senzo Meyiwa murder. At most, it might suggest a violation of prison rules, but violating prison rules is not the same thing as committing murder. This is where the legal strategy becomes fascinating, because when a witness appears strong under cross-examination, prosecutors often try a different tactic. They attempted to introduce new material to challenge the witness's credibility, to suggest the person is unreliable, this person is inconsistent, this person cannot be trusted. But when Ntanzi saw the photos, he did something far much better. He did something that forced the courtroom to pause. He did not simply deny them. He explained the pictures. He described when the photos were taken. He described his appearance at the time. He even explained why his hair length would not make sense for the period the state was suggesting. Because according to him, the type of work he did or he does would have made it impossible to keep his hair long. That explanation matters because courts often look closely at how witnesses respond under pressure. A panicked witness may damage their credibility, but a calm witness who offers detailed explanation can sometimes strengthen their position. And that is why many courtroom observers say the digital evidence dispute is now becoming one of the most critical moments in this trial. Because if the defense pushes hard on the metadata issue, the state may eventually need to show something very specific: the original forensic extraction of the evidence or of the device, the dump file, the raw data, the complete digital record. If that exists, the state can verify its evidence. But if it does not, then the defense will continue to ask a simple but powerful question: what exactly are we looking at? An original piece of evidence or something that has been processed, edited, or interpreted before reaching the courtroom? And criminal trials, that difference in criminal trials, that difference can matter a lot, because the law requires proof beyond reasonable doubt, not speculation, not assumptions, not interpretations, proof. So as the courtroom prepares for the next day of testimony, the focus is now shifting to one thing: the digital evidence, the metadata, and the original data behind the files. Because sometimes in long murder trials, the turning point does not come from dramatic confessions or emotional testimony. It comes from technical details. Tiny details hidden inside files, details that quietly determine whether the evidence is reliable or questionable. And right now, those details are the ones at the center of the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial. So maybe today, the next courtroom session would reveal whether the state can carefully support the digital evidence it introduced, or whether the defense will continue to expose gaps in the chain of proof. And in a case that has already lasted years, those gaps could be the most important issue of all. Because in the end, every criminal trial comes down to one fundamental question: has the state proven its case beyond reasonable doubt, or has doubt begun to creep into the evidence itself? And that is the question the courtroom may soon have to deal with and answer. That is where we are standing. What are your thoughts when it comes to all of this? Let's talk in the comment section. I want to hear your views. Thank you so much. Do enjoy your day. Bye-bye.